So the reason when we are taught in Jamaat Khana to do Girya Wazari Ji Tasbih Benti. Girya Wazari means to shed tears. And Imam Sultan Umar Shah, may our souls be sacrificed, and this Imam has said, if you have only one son, and if he dies, do not cry. If your hard-earned money is lost, do not cry. So the question would be, my son died, or my money is lost. I worked so hard for this money. It was a halal rozi. I gave the son, and my money is lost. People talk like that, right? Do not cry. Then why was I given tears? Question would be, why was I given tears? When do I use my tears? And I feel emotional, I want to cry. Imam says, no, don't cry. Because these are physical things. Imam says you must cry in the longing of the didar of the Imam. So that is something which should matter to a mu'min. A mu'min will not care about his worldly goods. So Girya Wazari is taught to us both time in Jamaat Khana, and it is expected of us to stand up. There's a reason in that too, that we cannot say Girya Wazari with comfort, with peace and physical comfort. We cannot have Girya Wazari. Girya Wazari only comes when your heart is hurt. It is not easy to cry. It is not easy to cry. So symbolically, the reason we stand up, that to put yourself physically into discomfort, then only it will touch your heart. So emotionally or spiritually, when we are tested in physical world, it touches our heart, and then tears flow easily. When it flows easily, then your heart is connected to your soul and to your mind, and whatever comes from your mouth, that is the truth. So tasbihat, when it is done with Girya Wazari, it flies like a rocket. If I just do lip service and say Ya Ali, Ya Ali, Ya Ali, there's a ginan. Mukh japanda jo piyu mile, to sir saata na hoye. What is a full verse? A beautiful. Do you remember it?
Piyu piyu to sab jug kare.
Haan. Par piyu na paave koi. Piyu piyu to sab jug kare. Piyu piyu to sab jug. The whole world says piyu piyu, my beloved, my beloved. Piyu na paave koi. Mukh japanda jo piyu mile, to sir saata na hoye. If the whole world says my beloved, my beloved, my beloved, Ya Ali, Ya Ali, Ya Ali, but nobody gets to Ya Ali. If it was easy to get to Ya Ali just by saying by my mouth, then the whole world have gotten salvation. Today we don't have salvation just because it is not coming out of my heart. So the tasbihat, when we do tasbihat, it has to be with full understanding of the meaning. It has to come out from your heart, from inside. And that can only happen when you have tears in your eyes. There's another verse in the same Ginan. It's a Sadgur Kahere. Sati thai tu kyun rahi jo na jali piyu ji ke laye. Sati thai tu kyun rahi jo na jali piyu ji ke laye. It's symbolically, this Ginan gives the example of a woman whose husband has died and she did not, burned herself with the husband. That old tradition, right? The Sati. And so Peace says to us, he says, you think of yourself Sati? Sati means the word Sat. It's coming from truth. So I am regular in coming to Jamaat Khana. You take Isme Azam, you sit in Bandagi, you attend ilm classes. What you think? What we think of ourselves? Oh, I'm a good person. I'm honest person. I'm doing good deeds. And Peace says, do you think you're a good and honest person? Why didn't you burn? How come you're alive? He asked us. He's not saying physically burned. If you have not done Girya Wazari, you have not done anything. You will not achieve anything. So you think of yourself as Sati? Oh, you are not Sati. So each one of us is Nari, Imam being the Nar. Every woman, if truly loves her husband, she has only one and one desire, to be one with her husband. Right? So Imam being our beloved, our everything, our Sahib, our everything. And we being the Naris, we want to be one with our Imam. So if we want to be one, it is not possible for our physical being to be one with him. There is a story of Hazrat Yahya that he used to cry he used to cry so much so that the angels were saying, they go to Allah and say, "Oh Allah, he's crying so much. Why don't you give him what he wants?" And he says, "Okay, ask him whatever he wants, we'll give it to him." So the understanding here is that if we were to cry and ask for anything in this world, we'll get it. We'll get it. But he being the prophet, what he was teaching us that, he does not want the worldly goods. He wants the didar of Imam. So the didar is...
Tell the full story, because it's a beautiful story for us to understand. So the angel comes down.
So the angel comes down and asks him, "Oh prophet, what do you want? Why do you cry so much? What do you want?" He says, "I don't want anything." I said, "Okay, you don't want anything?
Do you want heaven?"
Do you want heaven?
Says, "Heaven is yours."
Heaven is yours. So actually I implied that, yeah.
He says, "No, I don't want heaven."
Yeah.
So they go back. And Allah said, "No, go and ask him why is he crying there." So they come back and says, "Are you afraid of hell? The fire of hell is no longer there for you." And he said, "No, I'm not afraid of hell." They says, "Then why are you crying?" He said, "I look for the didar of thee."
Subhanallah.
So angel said, "Okay, let me go back." And he goes to Allah and says, "Well, he's crying for your didar." Allah sends a message and says, "Ask him to cry more."
So the essence of the story is that today if we are hesitant for any reason, I'm shy, how do I cry in front of others? Or tears just don't come. Or I'm a man, how can I cry? Men don't cry. Okay? Or the feelings I get when people are crying, it's like, looks like a house of mourning. I didn't come here to mourn. I came here to know the love of Imam or the knowledge of Imam. Why are you crying? I do not want to be in this place. I want to go away. The reason they don't understand the feelings that you get, okay, so there are two things going on. All these thoughts are given to you through shaitan. Do know that. Because shaitan does not want you to do Giri Azari. Do know that. Shaitan will never want you to connect spiritually, mentally, emotionally, become one. Because as soon as you become one, as soon as you start shedding tears, you fly. You start flying from that day, that moment. In Quran, Allah says, "I am Sariul Hisab," meaning that I do the accounts right now. I don't wait for the second to go on. It will be done right now. So all these thoughts which comes against tasbihat or Giri Azari, do know, please, from ilm, it is your shaitan. It is up to us to kill that shaitan. How do we do that? It is very, very hard. Oh, shaitan, what Pir says, "Man to maha balwant kahiye." That's what Pir says in Ginan. That it is like a anaconda, like huge anaconda. How do you even physically fight an anaconda? You can't. He'll swallow you in one gulp. So that's the shaitan. It is so important to pressure yourself to sit through it. If you cannot sit, stand up, but be there. Or if you cannot stand, start moving, but be there. Do not leave that place. We used to tell this to one of the class friends. It was hard for him to sit through the class. He would stand up. He'll pace standing at the same place. But you have to sit through the Giri Azari to push yourself. And then inside your heart, you fill your thoughts with the love of Imam. So the emotions you feel during the Giri Azari class, one is all the thoughts from shaitan. Second is that you feel very uncomfortable, uneasy. Because what happens that physically what you see does not look normal to your eyes, and emotionally, spiritually you are becoming lighter. That change, that transformation is very difficult to tolerate physically. It makes you feel suffocated. It sometimes will make you feel breathless. And in Quranic term, it is called robe, pressure. When you feel that, people do not know how to handle it. People don't know how to handle it. So they would like to run away from there. They just want to leave that place because I can't handle it. Do know when you feel that way, it's a blessing. It is what it means that angels have come into you and they are trying to help you elevate yourself. So when those emotions come in, do not fight it. Just accept it. That something is changing. It is hard. Remember, there's a constant fight. This physical body, it does not like you to transform, because shaitan is so much in power inside our body, right? It's carnal soul transforming into the nafs lawama, nafs mutmaina, guiding soul. Guiding soul, and then satisfied soul. So the carnal soul is trying to transform into guiding soul. So when you're in that process, just with knowledge, do know that this carnal soul is fighting with the guiding soul. There's a guidance and there's a shaitan. They both are fighting so hard that the war is going inside you and you just can't handle that emotion. It is so uncomfortable, it is so overwhelming, it's so uneasy that it is easiest to run away. I don't like this. I do not want to do tasbihat, I do not want to do Giri Azari. But do know that there is no elevation without tasbih and Giri Azari. If you just like to come to ilm classes and just get knowledge, it is not right thing to do. It is not right, because we have seen through knowledge that what happened to Iblis. In Ginan Pir says that he had so much knowledge that his books were loaded on 40 camels. He was such a learned man. He was such a learned angel. He had, his books were on 40 camels. Can you imagine the number of books he had read, the knowledge he knew? But what he did not know? The essence of that knowledge was itaat, obedience. And he did not do that. He did not prostrate to Adam. And guess what happened to him? Right? So we all know. So the importance of tasbihat, doing it with the meaning, doing it abundantly, and then trying to get to the Giri Azari would help us learn the knowledge very quickly and elevate. Because we are not in a school. Let me tell you, we are not in a school. Sometimes we think that we come to ilmi class, I have become a student, as Imam has said that you have to learn till you die, and I'm picking up book and papers and I'm writing and I'm reading. This is, in a school, you learn. Here, it's a practical school. Like, when you go to vocational schools, you learn how to make air conditioner or washing machine and you start working at the same time. This is that kind of a school. Today you learn, tomorrow you have gotten your grade and you are next grade. It has to be that fast. And it can only happen that fast if you are doing your tasbihat, Giri Azari and ilm classes. So it is very normal of us actually, when we do these classes, we start with some tasbihat, we'll do some sajda to show Imam our obedience, our love, and we end with Ginan to convey that we are Giriyan, we are very humble in our heart, we have softened up and we do not want any vanity, and this knowledge Mola is coming from you and we are grateful to you. There's emotions of shukr guzari, and then we end this class. So that's our normal pattern actually. And we try to do that. Sometimes we forget that. Today we forgot. A basic important lesson for all of us who is interested in knowledge. Knowledge is just one way. If we do not have both ways, we'll be like that car who's going around and around thinking, oh, I've traveled so much. End of the day, we have not gotten anywhere, though we may know whole Quran now. So amazing that you're giving this point and these people are sending me points. They're not talking, but my angels are here working, right? So one of them says, gem of the day, I think one of the specific Islam is that you live your faith. So when we are in classes and we think, oh my God, now I have to do tasbihat, I have to do it with Giri Azari, then I have to study too. How do I do all this? I have full day already, I work full time, I have children, I have house. How do I do this? That you incorporate this in your worldly life in such a way that you're not doing anything additional. You're doing it as you live. You're driving, you're doing your tasbihat. You're walking, you're doing your tasbihat. So you don't have to stop and sit down and become sadhu or bhagat. Oh, I am doing my tasbihat. I've become something elevated, No. You remain the same person, but that part becomes your life part in such a way nobody knows it, nobody sees it, but you're doing it. Only when you are with like-minded people, you open up and you talk about and you do things together, because we are with like-minded people. Otherwise, to others, we are simple as living the normal life. Nothing changed in us. And then this beautiful part, because I love this Ginan, Sadguru Kahere, right? Sadguru Kahere, Sati thai tu kyun na rahi, jo na jali piyun ji ke laye, Ja ja na mui gheladi, prem laj na mahere. It's such a beautiful way of saying it. I just cannot believe that a man, a peer, he wrote that Gina, right? He says, how could you have lived as a saintly woman if you have not got burnt in the fire of the beloved? Ja ja na mui gheladi, like go, you silly woman. If you did not have any large, you did not keep respect of your love, that you call yourself a lover, what kind of lover you are? Such a beautiful verse. And then this another one. Eji jumlo farishte sajda kiya, Adam sajda liya. All the angels prostrated to Adam, and Adam had accepted that prostration. Ajajil farman na maniyo, so lekha raj kiya. Azazel, he did not prostrate. So you know what happened to him? All the good deeds or all the knowledge he had, it was all wasted. It was all nullified. Eji Azazel firishta buzrug kahiye ane budhwan kahiye tesa, बुद्धिवान कहिए तैसा 36 करोड़ किताबा पढ़िया पण भीतर भेद ना पाया. 36 करोड़, 3.6 million books he read, but he didn't understand the essence of it. And then there is one which is beautiful here. I don't know, for those who understand Urdu. है आलमे दिल नूरे हकीकत से मुनव्वर. है आलमे दिल, my heart, my universe of my heart is enlightened with the light of Imam, love of Imam. खुर्शीद ज़िया बख्शे दिल व जान दुआ है. The sun which gives me the light, which gives me the life. You know, the way we say that we are not alive until, or we are not human until we have let go of all the animal instincts. The guidance of Imam is the light of my heart. This is very difficult Urdu.
Yeah. Kids. Because when we do Giras, it's like about cry, and then we ask Mullah. So the kids are the best one. Because they act so good in Giras. They ask, I mean little kids. They ask you for something and they cry.
Yes.
They cry till the parent doesn't give it.
Yes.
And if the kid knows it, the parents will give it to it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep on crying.
Yes. Yes.
And it happens. And eventually parents, what happens? They give up.
Yeah.
They say, okay, just take it.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah.
Now they take it. So what is it? That's the best way as a kid.
Yeah.
Because they act so good. They know how to.
You know, so you are so right, because we think, oh, I am 50 years old.
Yeah.
I have my own kids. I am this, I am so and so. We are not. When Mullah says, my beloved children, if you are truly his child, it should come easy to do Girazari. But because we think of ourselves somebody, we cannot cry. So you are exactly right. We have to let go of all the attachments and become a simple, needy child. You know, in Farman Mullah says that you need to cry as if you've been away from your mother. A child, how would he cry if he has lost his mother? That's how you should cry. So you are absolutely right. When you are that kind of child who has lost his mother, that knowledge, long for your Mawla, your mother.
I just wanted to share some verse, because we started saying as, it sounds like when we're reading the Quran, it seems like all of the prophets were sinful, right? So very good poetry, Jiskandar, it has explained that all of those things were actually a form of dua for us to understand that like they prayed, we should be doing exactly the same thing. I'm not very good in translating the Urdu, but I will read it, inshallah, people will understand. दुनिया में अगर रंज और अलम है तो नहीं गम, सद शुक्र के यहाँ रोज़ाए रिजवान दुआ है. मालूम हुई तौबाए आदम की दुआ थी, फिर नूह का वो बाइसे तूफान दुआ है. हो जाए अगर आतिशे नमरूद होवीदा, हो कोई खलील अब भी गुलिस्तान दुआ है. यूनुस को दुआ ही ने दिलाई है खलासी, हर दौर में बस रहमते यज़दान दुआ है. हाँ खिज़र हुआ जिंदाए जावेद इसी से, दुनिया में यही चश्माए हैवान दुआ है. मूसा को असा और यदे बेजा के निशाने हासिल जो हुए वजह नुमायान दुआ है. ईसा में जो था माजिज़ाए रूह मुक़द्दस, इस माजिज़े की हिकमत पिनहान दुआ है. अहमद जो हुए गोशाए नशीन गारे हिरा में, मकसूद नबी शम्माए शबिस्तान दुआ है. मौलाए करीम دہر میں ہے نور الہی، اس نور سے کچھ فیض امکان دعا.
سبحان اللہ سبحان اللہ.
گر نور امامت بمثل راہ خدا ہے، اس راہ میں بھی مشعل ایقان دعا.
سبحان اللہ.
ہے عالم دل نور حقیقت سے منور، خورشید ضیا بخش دل و جان دعا ہے. دنیا میں اگر رنج و الم ہے تو نہیں غم، صد شکر کہ روزہ رضوان دعا ہے. مومن کو صدا رحمت رحمان دعا ہے. معلوم ہوئی توبہ آدم کی دعا تھی، پھر نوح کا وہ باعث طوفان دعا ہے. ہو جائے اگر آتش نمرود ہوئیدا، ہو کوئی خلیل اب بھی گلستان دعا ہے. مومن کو صدا رحمت رحمان دعا ہے. یونس کو دعا ہی دلائی ہے خلاصی، ہر دور میں بس رحمت یزدان دعا ہے. ہاں خضر ہوا زندہ جاوید اسی سے، دنیا میں ہی چشمہ حیوان دعا ہے. مومن کو صدا رحمت رحمان دعا ہے. موسیٰ عصا اور ید بیضا کے نشانے حاصل جو ہوئے وجہ نمایاں دعا ہے. عیسیٰ میں جو تھا معجزہ روح مقدس، اس معجزہ حکمت پنہاں دعا ہے. مومن کو صدا رحمت رحمان دعا ہے. احمد جو ہوئے گوشنشی خار ہیرا میں، مقصود نبی شمع شبستان دعا ہے. مولا کریم دہر میں ہے نور الہی، اس نور سے کچھ فیض کا امکان دعا ہے. مومن کو صدا رحمت رحمان دعا ہے. طاعت میں یہی مقصد قرآن دعا ہے.
So it says مومن کو رحمت رحمان دعا ہے. That مومن, for moments, that مومن needs the dua, and dua is in itaat, in obedience. And it's so interesting that the example of different prophets is given. Whatever the stories we hear about prophets, it was all because they were doing dua and giryazari. For what? For the one thing. Elevation, being elevated to be one with Imam. Yunus was in a tummy of a whale, much the way he came out from his tasbih in Giri Azari, right? His tasbih was La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin. That was his tasbih, and he came out. And then it gives example of Khizr. We know Khizr is somebody who's always alive, who drank from fountain of youth. He's always young and he's always alive. People don't know that that's Imam only. And then Musa had this, that Asa actually was his Isme Azam. But actually it was his Isme Azam, his tasbih, his zikr, which did whatever he majizat he did for the Qawm of Firaun, the nation of Firaun. And he showed them all the miracles. So it was due to his zikr, his tasbih, his Isme Azam. So, it is so important for all of us to be doing zikr and tasbih, to make it a part of your life. You wake up, you do tasbih, you go to bed, you do tasbih. Walking and talking, when you are becoming like constantly doing tasbih, that's how your children learn to do tasbih. And then when you learn knowledge, it comes to our heart in a very, very speedy fashion. It penetrates our heart and it becomes one with us. Alhamdulillah.
There's something else interesting too. So we talk about the story of Yahya, and it's in the Pandya Juan Murti, right? It's recounted there.
Yeah.
So he was crying for Didar, right? And similarly, we have in Quran, we have Yaqub, Jacob, and Yusuf.
Yeah.
And when Yusuf was taken away, and Yaqub, and the verse says that, oh, my sorrow over Joseph, and his eyes became white from grief, for he was a suppressor. So there's stories that he's crying for Joseph, right? And then it's funny because, like you mentioned, other people might say, why are you doing so much crying? So his other son said, by Allah, you will not cease remembering Joseph until you become ill or you become those who perish. It's almost like they're telling him, stop all this crying, right? And he says, by Allah, you will not, he says, I only complain of my suffering and my grief to Allah. And I know from Allah that which you do not know. And that reminds me, I think maybe someone said that, when you have problems in life, some of us, we like to complain to others. We call our friends and say, oh, this has happened to me and that's happened to me. Complain. And we're taught not to complain. There's only one place you can complain to, and that's complain directly to God or to Imam. Don't complain to others. This is happening in my life. And here it says, I only complain of my suffering to Allah, right? And then, so the story goes on. And interestingly, that when the brothers find Yusuf again, he says, here, take my shirt or my cloak and send it to my dad, give it to him, and he'll become a seer once again. His sight,
his face, and it will be
his sight. So interestingly, that brings spiritual principles, that when you're crying for Imam Sidar, he'll send you something, whether it's called a shirt or a clothing, something he gives to you. When it comes to your face, you become a seer. And that's very interesting. What kind of clothing can make your eyes open, right? So that's the next thing to think about is, what was that he was given? But that same principle, keep on crying until you get the didar. In this case, didar came from some spiritual means because he sent him something. We don't know what that is maybe, but.
So there's a farman actually answering this question. The Mawla says that it is only in your nurani badan that you'll be able to see the didar of Imam. So it's the clock, makes Jacob the seer, right? The clock is having that nurani badan, and nurani badan you can only get it when you're lighter, meaning that this dense body transforms into subtle body. So, the astral body. So if all of us want subtlety, we have to dissolve this density.
Right.
And this density can only be dissolved when every particle in our being is, becomes subtle or alive through tasbihat. Then there is no weight. When there is no weight, you fly. Right? It's such an amazing concept, right?
Even more interesting is there's no mention that they actually told Yusuf that, oh, dad lost his eyesight.
No.
It just, as they're going back, he said, here, take this. So he already knows.
Yeah.
So obviously same thing, like Imam knows.
Yeah.
When you're sitting privately, if you have tears and stuff, he knows. And then he'll send you the astral.
You're writing this in our group.
So they say there are three kind of mu'mineen. One who gives knowledge, one who receives knowledge, one who supports knowledge. She's a big supporter.
A person who does Girazari quietly. Shukran.
So, it says regarding the Girazari, I know our time is up, we can have 4 more minutes. The wax cannot become nur until it burns itself. What she was saying, how can you be sati if you don't burn yourself? The wax cannot become a nur until it burns itself. Oil does not give light until it burns itself. So Mu'min cannot become one with the Imam until he burned himself in the love of the Imam. और दूसरा एक जगह है कि look at the mart, right? Parvana. Parvana knows this fire he will burn, but what he does? He goes right into the fire. That's the love of the fire to the mart, which is the love of the Imam for a moment. That you have to become nothing or die to become one with the Imam. And physically you don't have to die. Just in the love of Imam, so you may become one with Imam. She gave us a hint on the Nafs Amara into Nafs Lawama. Nafs Amara is our human soul, and Nafs Lawama is the soul of the Imam. So if you want to become one with the soul of Imam, you have to let go of your Nafs Amara. So you can become a Nafs Lawama. And then from Nafs Lawama, if you want to become one with the Nur of Allah, Nafs Mutmainna, you have to let go of both of those. So one that has died, actually didn't die, it dissolved in the higher being. And then if you want to go even higher, you dissolve that into even higher being, which is the Nafs Mutmainna.
So today, if you're okay, we can do some tasbihat? Yeah? Do you want to turn on the light? Let's do some tasbihat. So the kulya to do tasbihat is that whoever leads the tasbih, everybody will follow that voice. We have to be one with that voice, and we only hear that voice. Our voice should be lower than the person who's leading the tasbihat. Okay, we could never go over that voice. If that voice is low, we would request the leading person to be speaking a little bit louder.
Nur Maulana Shah Karima Hussaini Hazar Imam Ali Allah Madad Farma Wahidul Qahhar Ali Allah Madad Farma. Al Hayy 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 या मौला यहाँ पर जो साथी जमा हुए हैं मौला अपनी नींद की कुर्बानी मौला अपने
ایک چھٹی کے دن کی قربانی مولا، اور تیرے علم کو حاصل کرنے کے لیے مولا یہاں جمع ہوئے ہیں مولا، تو ان کی تمام کی اس قربانی کو مولا اپنے حضور پرنور میں قبول کرنا. یا مولا مہربان، آج ہم نے سیکھا مولا کہ صرف علم ہی کافی نہیں مولا، ہمارے پاس 2 چپو ہونے چاہیے مولا، علم اور عبادت. عبادت کے کچھ طریقے ہیں مولا، صرف علم حاصل کرنا ہی کافی نہیں مولا. یا مولا مہربان، ہمارے اندر گریہ وزاری کرنے کی، یا مولا تیرے دیدار کے لیے رونے کی ہمت عطا کر. یا مولا مہربان، گریہ وزاری کو اپنے دل کے اندر اتارنے کی ہمت عطا کر. یا مولا مہربان، ہمارے دلوں کو اتنا کشادہ کر دے مولا کہ اس کے اندر ہم علم اور عمل دونوں کو جذب کر سکیں. یا مولا مہربان، ہمارے اندر جو بھی شک و شبہات کسی بھی چیز کو لے کر آئے مولا، اس کو تو دور کرنا. یا مولا، صوفی شاعر فرماتے ہیں یہ نفس خود ایک شیطان ہے، ہمیشہ ضد ایمان ہے، الہی تو ہی رحمان ہے. یا مولا مہربان، تو ہی رحمان بھی ہے اور تو ہی رحیم بھی ہے مولا. تو اپنے ان پاکیزہ ناموں کے توسط سے مولا ہمارے اس نفس امارہ کو یا مولا مہربان چوک کر دینا مولا. یا مولا اس کو ایسی ضرب لگانا مولا، تیرا عشق ہم پر مسلط کر دینا مولا. تسبیحات، گریہ وزاری، دیدار کی طلب مولا ہم پر مسلط کر دینا. یا مولا مہربان، ہمیں دنیا کی تمام مجبوریوں، تمام جو ہمیں لگتی ہے مولا کہ وہ زیادہ ٹربل ہے، یا مولا زیادہ ہماری ٹائم کو، ہماری انرجی کو مولا سا کرتی ہے مولا. یا مولا تو ان کو ہمارے اندر اس مولا کہ وہ تیرے عشق کو کبھی بھی بھولنے نہ پائے مولا. ذکر کو ہم پر مسلط کرنا مولا، دائم ذکر کرنا. یا علی یا نور مولانا شاہ کریم حسین حاضر امام یہاں موجود تمام ساتھیوں کی کوئی مشکلات آسان کرنا. یا مولا ان کے ایمان میں ہر 1000 گنا اضافہ کرنا. یا مولا ایمان کو آخری دم تک سلامت رکھنا. یا مولا مہربان، علم اور گنان، عبادت و بندگی میں مکمل کرنا. یا مولا مہربان، ہماری تمام کی عرض، وینتی، گریہ وزاری اپنے حضور پر نور میں قبول کرنا. یا امام الزمان، یا مولانا انت قوتی و انت سندی و علیک تکالی، یا حاضر یا موجود، یا شاہ کریم حسینی، انت الامام الحکم بی علی اللہم لک سجودی و طاعتی. شکر اللہ و الحمد للہ، شکر اللہ و الحمد للہ.
سبحان اللہ، سبحان اللہ، سبحان اللہ.
Thank you everyone for coming. Do send question if you have any question regarding any of this.